you doing, good brother, man? How's life for you?
Man, life is beautiful, man. We get to do this for a living, man. What more could we ask for?
Yeah. Listen, your career, brother, and looking at everything that you got going on now, what was the decision for you to jump off into the podcast? You know what I mean? Because you got a very dope platform that y'all doing. You know what I mean? So,
You
what was
know
kind of
what?
like the tipping point?
It was there were all these conversations happening about some of everything. You know what I mean? Whether it be sports, whether it be, your conversations about who's doing who to what, who's baby mama, like all of these. There was rap conversations. There was so many different conversations happening, but there wasn't an R&B conversation happening. And for us, it really just started out just feeling a void. Like, nah, y'all, we got high level shit happening too. Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to curse on the thing.
No, you
Uh,
good. You good. You
oh, we
good.
good. Okay. We our thing is just as important. We need this conversation um for two reasons. One, because of all the great R&B that has come before us, all the great R&B that is happening now, and to ensure that the future of R&B has somewhere to go to have these conversations. And so it just started out as just that. Like, let's just be in the conversation. And if anybody's going to be able to have this conversation, it has to be some people who actually understand the conversation, who know the conversation intimately. Um, Not from a past tense, but from an active standpoint. There are very few um, pods and conversations being had from people who are actively in the space, actively dominating the space. And so we felt that being unique, we would be able to, grab our peers. We always say from Keith Sweat to Pink Sweats, we want to give everybody that platform and that stage to really just tell their story, man. It's less about us and more about them. As you can see, like and it's been a cool ride, man. At 150 plus episodes, um, we're seeing the value in this conversation from people who learn things from that pod. Like, people come up to us and say, "Hey, man, this is study material for us." When our crew, we want to learn something and we want to really get in mode, like, we throw the podcast on. And then people who are just curious about the ups and downs and ins and outs of how this thing really goes. You know what I mean? Because for so long, people have only been able to buy into the music and a few photos and maybe a couple of interviews, but they've never really been able to buy into the story of how these artists, songwriters and producers and stylists and choreographers, like, how they got there. And so we just put value in the story, man, and God has blessed us, man.
No, that's a great breakdown because it's a thing today, and we're looking at Netflix getting involved in the whole podcast space and all that type of stuff. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So podcasting is you, and it's just funny because I know with some of us here being elder statements and whatnot, talk radio was like for older people in the day.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It was like we would clown. Like, I used to clown my pops. Like, why you just listen to the talk radio? You know what I'm saying? Like, we listen to
Right.
some music, but like podcasts have really almost taken over music at this point. I talk to a lot of people, and it's like they listen to more podcasting than they are to music. And I mean,
Yeah.
I just love to know your thoughts on that.
I mean, everything is very conversation driven. You know what I mean? Even if you look like your Instagram and your TikToks, you know what I'm saying? It's like there are a lot of moments where the viral moment or the thing copied, like, people are like kind of miming the words that are being said or these interactions that are happening, that somebody else put together, whether it's funny, whether it's disrespectful, whatever what it is. I find myself, on Instagram and watching more of the conversations, watching people say 10 things you should do if you really want to increase your, you know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
watch, you
yeah.
watch that, you're like, oh wow, you know what I'm saying? And so it's information. Let me say, it's information driven. We're in an age where everybody wants some information. And and so if you're able to feed that beast, with something that people actually want to hear, then you can win. You can have a successful career at this.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And big ups, man. 150 episodes. That's super ill for you and your guys' pod. Now, you brought up his name, and I'm glad you did because I wanted to ask your opinion as well. Because Keith Sweat recently kind of popped out on I believe it was the Breakfast Club, and he talked about how R&B being in a weird space and the idea that they're trying to make rap records. You know what I'm saying? And that takes away from some of the true R&B. I don't know if you saw it or not, you know what I mean? But I just
I
love to
saw a little
know.
bit of it. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
saw a
yeah.
little bit
So I
of it.
just love to know your opinion because I think R&B is also in a great space. Again, because people
R&B
would
is
say
an
like
amazing
R&B went
space.
away. People say R&B went away. I don't think it never went away. It's just, you had to look for it a little bit more. But I mean, R&B I think is in a great space. So
Listen, we don't own radio, we don't own Complex, we don't own any of these other mediums that decided um hip hop was the number one genre in the world. And so, we had to take a back seat to what they felt um was doing better and making them more money and getting them more attention. And so this was a business decision for these platforms to do so. So we weren't no longer, you know what I mean, the belle of the ball. We were no longer sought after. We were no longer the at the top of the charts. And that was by design. So for us, survival was how do we how do we break in to the playlist? You know what I'm saying? How do we get in between all of these Drake records and Migos records and like how do we get in there? And Two Chains records, how do we get in there? And so the it's easier for us to assimilate. Like it's easiest for us to chant and feel like rappers versus rappers actually singing a song. So 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 in the interest of surviving, yeah, a lot of us shifted to that space. We had to in order to survive, in order for a radio station or a radio program or anybody to say, you know what, that'll fit on my station, or you'll fit on my winter my winter jam or my summer jam. You'll fit. And so that came out of survival. But as you see, we've weathered that storm. You know what I mean? Leon Thomas, we've weathered that storm. Coco Jones, we've weathered that storm. Kehlani, we've weathered that storm. Ari Lennox, we've weathered that storm. Tank, we've weathered that storm.
yes, sir.
Eric Bellinger, we've weathered that storm. Mario, we've weathered that storm. B2K is back. We've weathered that storm. Boys to Men, New Edition, on tour right now, together. We've weathered that storm. Like so, you know, Chris Brown in stadiums. We've weathered that storm, and so as you said, we're in a beautiful space.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Beautiful.
I just seen Take Six and After Seven is hitting the road together.
Come
You know what
on,
I mean?
man.
That's super ill. Super
How can
ill.
you know why they can hit the road? Because there's a demand for what they do.
Yeah,
People want
man.
to feel that. They're tired of feeling unsafe at the function.
yeah,
They're tired.
yeah, we're gonna leave that right
It's
there.
it's time to get
What
back focused. It's
yeah,
time
yeah,
to get
yeah.
back focused. When we was going to the club and going to the venue, you know what we was looking for? The
The
ladies.
ladies.
You know why we
Yeah.
put them clothes on so a lady would see us and be like, "There's them some nice clothes you got on." You understand what I'm saying? You know why we washed that car before we went and shine them rims, them tens. I mean, I called them 20s, but they was tens. I kept them clean. You know why we did that? For the ladies, for a lady to see, we got a nice car too. You understand what I'm saying? Now we
Yes,
getting
sir.
back to it.
I could dig it. I could dig it. That being said, man, let's get into this new joint of yours, Control. I've heard it, you take a little page from the sample, you know what I mean? But of course, in a Tank smooth way.
Yes, sir.
Just give us a little background on the song real quick.
Man, as soon as the track came on, my boy Business Boy sent the track to me. As soon as the track came on, I was like, ooh, I was like, do y'all do I said, what if we did something like this? Control. No, you like and I got control. They was like, you think Janet will let us use it? I was like, we can at least ask.
yeah. Hell yeah.
and and one with the Jimmy Jam and Terry, man, and they gave us our blessing, man. And like it was
Beautiful.
literally my first idea that went with the
Hell yeah.
track. And we
Hell
filled
yeah.
it in from there.
Hell yeah. We got the one and only Tank hanging out with us, y'all. Check out this joint. You're gonna see what he's talking about right now. Peep game. So we're just starting 2026, Tank. What's on the register? What's going down for the year?
Man, trying to, I thought I had the album finished. and I just keep recording more. Like towards the end of the process, man, like you just get in a groove, man, and it just everything just starts. I don't know, just starts sounding crazy, and like you can't stop. You know what I mean? And so, the album is called Experience, and the experience that I'm having making this album is so I'm having such a great time with it. I haven't been able to slow down yet. So the goal is to get this album to you by the summer. Get a couple more joints out. Like we're ready to drop some more stuff from it. Some more acting and all the cool stuff. Of course, more podding. The pod is we still dropping episodes weekly on that. Um, and then now we're just kind of looking into what the next step is in terms of breaking artists. Um, maybe bringing some artists on a tour with us. You know what I mean? Something that can go out. Um, but all of it's up, man. Everything's on the table, man. So we're just working through it to see what time will allow, because time is really the thing. You know what I'm saying? But right now we own this control, and we're trying to make sure everybody knows. Just like the young lady, she didn't even know the video was out, and so we want to make sure that we get the word out to everybody. Hey, songs out, videos out, because for me, I can take a no, but I can't take a I didn't know.
But what do you do in the downtime? You know what I mean? Like I said, because you're such a busy man, and what's downtime for Tank?
You know what, man? I think my I'd never been on a vacation until I met my wife. It was just crazy. You know what I'm saying? People like, oh man, you've been in the industry so long. Where'd you go? I felt like 2 days in Miami was a vacation. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, man, I got work to do. I can't be out here. And she was the first one to be like, we're gonna go somewhere for 5 days and do nothing. I was like, 5? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out like what are we gonna talk about after day 2? You know what I mean? And so, that was my first time ever unplugging and just enjoying you know, the moment, just being in that moment with her and at the resort and in the pool and the Dos Equis lights. You know what I'm saying? Like uh and so that's really what we do, man. We kind of take time away. Like we'll shoot and we'll go to Vegas and not do nothing. You know what I mean? We'll take the kids and shoot to Miami and not do nothing. I'm very good at disconnecting for a day, for days, or for weeks. But the great part about it is that I've done so much work leading up to that point to where the work I've done continues to make it look like I'm still plugged in. You know what I'm saying? But I'm really not. And I think that's important for what we do, man. Like we gotta figure out rest and and that important time to disconnect, you know what I'm saying, and gather our thoughts and gather our spirit, and you know what I'm saying, and get back grounded and then get back to the grind. It's very important that we do that because stress more than anything is taking people out. You know what I mean? I used to tell my guy Jay all the time, he'd be like, man, we gotta get up early. You gotta do. I said, hey man, relax. This thing ain't gonna kill me. Absolutely not. So when I get up, I'm gonna turn my phone on, and if they want to talk to me, they'll still be there. That's how we rock.
100%. 100. Yeah. Before we let you go, Tank, I just want to say, I don't think, there's a lot of artist comparisons, whatever, but I've always respected the fact that like you have always had your own sound. You've always had like your own lane. I've never heard you try to do anything like it. It sounded like anybody else. Like you just have a unique, special, genuine voice and sound to everything you do, man. So I just want to give you your flowers in that space for sure. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, listen, again, I made it as me, man. Thank God. And that's who I get to be. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's the blessing. That's the blessing in my career, brother.
Yeah, yeah. No, I always say, do you? There's enough of everybody else out there. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So 100%. So we're gonna let you go though, brother. Thank you again for your time. We'll definitely be looking for the album. DJs, like I said, if you trying to shoot, take some beats or whatever, we did drop the email in the chat. We'll put it up one more time. But thank you, man. Blessings to you for
Listen,
2026. Keep doing your thing.